NBA fans, Sixers fans, welcome back. I have a lot to talk about, so let's get talking. Jump in the video. I have 900 subscribers. That means 1,000 minus 900, carry the 1, add the 1. 100 subscribers to go, guys. That means if every single one of you tells like 50 of your friends, you know what? We may get to a K by Christmas. Not going to happen, but let's get to it. Let's talk about Damian Lillard wants to team up with Ben Simmons, apparently, which is the easiest way to get Damian Lillard out of Portland. Maybe it's like a super intelligent move on Daryl Morey's part. Let's talk about the trade market right now with a couple of guys that are available, who may seem to be available sooner rather than later, given how bad their teams have been. Let's get into it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I already said that. I'll say it again. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. All right. So, in an interview with Damian Lillard a couple days ago, I want to say, he said that the top 3 perimeter defenders in the league right now are Jrue Holiday, Ben Simmons, and Lou Dort. And he said that he would love to team up with a guy like Ben Simmons in Portland, which makes CJ McCollum immediately available. And I know a lot of you guys were not happy with how Daryl Morey has treated the situation, but the fact that the original deals are still probably on the table, Daryl Morey did the right thing by waiting. I still believe he's doing the right thing by waiting. I love what he's done. And because there are teams that are not as good as they were supposed to be. There we go. In the beginning of the season, I think it makes guys available. I love Tyrese Maxey. I do. I don't love how Doc Rivers plays him with Tobias Harris and Embiid on the court at the same time. I think Tobias needs to take a back seat. I think Maxey needs to be way more aggressive. You know what? Whatever. But it kind of leads me to believe that maybe right now, for the best, it's still Tyrese could be the best backup point guard in the NBA, and maybe that's the approach that we take. Right now, the Sixers are not good enough to contend, obviously. I don't think it takes a rocket science. I think you could literally ask a person who doesn't know the NBA, sees one game, and they're like, yeah, this team's just not, they don't have it. That's not a bad thing, though. I think if there is a possibility that Lillard would want to match with Simmons in Portland, I think there's a chance that Lillard just gives the hell up with Portland in general. But let's say Simmons goes to Portland, right? What would that trade entail? What would it look like? I think CJ McCollum would have to be on the table. It would be CJ McCollum. It would be a guy like Anthony Simons maybe, and a first-round pick, maybe 2. I don't think that's the greatest trade in the world for Philly, but at the same time, that's a good deal. That's a good deal. That's bringing in 2 legitimate dudes to a team that doesn't have 2 legitimate dudes. We're trading a guy who will never play again for our team, and we're bringing in a lot of good capital. And what better way, like I said earlier, to bring Lillard out of Portland than to send Ben Simmons there? I see it at face value. I see the Lillard-Simmons equaling Curry, Draymond, just based off of how they play the game. But there's something about this guy over here that just doesn't reach expectations. I think Lillard can make it work, but I think Simmons would have to really, really, really adjust his game and really take an ego check for that to work in Portland. And if he can do that, he can't. Portland would be successful. They won't be. But in Philadelphia's perspective, CJ McCollum is going to be that guy who's going to be a fourth-quarter dude who is, for the past 2 years now, has really improved his three-point jump shot. He's a really good scorer. Can he stay on the court? Can he stay healthy? I don't know. That's tough. It's really tough to ask of an undersized guard. And if you look at it, I would like to keep Seth in the starting lineup just because of how dominant he's been this year. But you cannot have any type of backcourt, including Tyrese, CJ, and Seth. We're going to be giving up 120 points a night. I don't care how good Embiid and Thibault are defensively. It leads me to Anthony Simons or Nasir Little. I think Nasir Little is an interesting name to be thrown around, but Anthony Simons has taken a big-time bump this year. He's really starting to come into his own. He's a really good scorer. He's a great off-the-bench guy who can give you 15 to 20 on any given night. I like that idea because the Sixers don't have a primary ball handler off the bench, like, at all. The fact that the Sixers have to roll out Korkmaz at any rotation is infuriating, and the fact that he's a backup point guard, kind of, for this team, doesn't work. Shake Milton, I love that guy. I love what he can bring to the offense on the bench. I love the microwave ability he has that's similar to Lou Will, but he's not a backup point guard. He's not an offensive initiator. He's a guy who plays really well off of an offensive initiator. It's why when him and Maxey were together in a lot of parts last season and this year, he is a much better player. Anthony Simons is not a playmaker, but he is a guy who playmakes better than anybody else on our bench. And that being said, that would make Shake a much better player. It would make Furkan a much better player. It's going to give Furkan the ability to not have to do too much on every single touch, you know? And I think that alone, it's big. It's big. And so if that's the move, I'm not going to be 100% thrilled about it, but I can also kind of maybe convince myself in this moment right now that that's at least a good deal. I still think Morey is going to be waiting for teams like Sacramento to maybe offer De'Aaron Fox or Indiana to see what Indiana can do. But I think it's really, really difficult right now for other teams to be failing and not at least look at a Ben Simmons possibility. And I think Daryl Morey waiting, obviously knowing this is going to come because this comes every single year, Ben Simmons' trade value is rising again, obviously, especially when you hear the superstar of your team saying he would love to play with Ben Simmons. Dude, Portland has done nothing for this man in the last, 11 years? It's about time they do something. That only raises the Sixers' possibilities to do stuff, you know what I mean? And that being said, I think that Philadelphia is in a much better shape now than they were before the season started. I know that the Sixers are not a good team right now. I would love to see Embiid's mid-range jumper become more consistent, but I think that's going to come with less pressure on him. I think that's going to come with a better team around him. Tobias Harris, Lord knows what Daryl Morey is going to do with Tobias Harris. I wouldn't hate the fact if we just shipped him wherever. But I think this is interesting at least. I think a roster of Maxey at the 1, CJ at the 2, Danny Green at the 3, I guess. Or Nasir Little, not even that. Danny Green at the 3, I guess. And then Tobias 4, 5 would be Embiid, obviously, with Anthony Simons and Seth Curry off the bench with Shake Milton. I mean, immediately our team becomes deeper. Immediately our offense becomes way better. And then it's just going to come down to Doc Rivers. Can Doc Rivers draw up anything on the offensive end? Just anything. Could he learn how to make a rotation work? Could he learn how these guys operate together? It's like Doc came over to Philly without ever seeing a game that any of these players have ever played. I mean, dude, Seth Curry is your son-in-law. I would assume you know how that man plays basketball. And I think the possibility of an Anthony Simons Embiid pick and roll would be really, really good. CJ McCollum Embiid pick and roll, still really good. I mean, you see the possibilities of when Seth Curry dominates on a pick and roll with Embiid, and Seth Curry lacks playmaking. If we could get a scorer who playmakes, Damian Lillard, the pick and roll would be deadly. I mean, it would be it would be the best pick and roll in the NBA. And I think that Daryl Morey is at least seeing what's going on right now, but he's not going to settle. I mean, you know damn well Daryl Morey's not settling for anything. Daryl Morey's going to go out and get the deal that Daryl Morey wants to go out and get. And I think it's going to happen. I think Simmons has to get traded this year. December, the deadline thingy, the off-season players who signed is Rollins coming up soon. And that's going to be the crunch time for Daryl Morey. I think Daryl Morey for the next couple of weeks is going to be locked in on thinking and trying to trade Ben Simmons for something valuable. And this video may be the first of many videos coming out based off of rumors, based off of he said, she said, based off of hearsay, whatever. I have a criminal justice degree, and I don't even know what any of that stuff means. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, peace, sub. I'll see you guys later.